The Philadelphia Eagles take down the Vikings in Minnesota in a big bounce-back way. Even more importantly, the Birds revealed their new offensive identity, which completely destroyed a top 5 passing defense in the NFL. Now the question is, will they continue to roll with it? Also, Jalen Hurts played a perfect game today, and a former face, Carson Wentz, did some good things, but ultimately did Carson Wentz things. We'll break it all down here on A to Z Philly, but welcome into the show. I am RB. Finally, a win again. I forgot what it had felt like to lose 2 games in a row, and trust me, with the way the Birds went out on a Thursday night, a miserable day in Philly sports, it was tough, but they had 10 days to get back on track. They had 10 days to work on this offense, to refine things, and also get healthy, and that's where we'll start it today, as the Birds get a win and advance to 5-2. Let me know how you're feeling down below. But today, Jalen Carter came back, had a massive impact. There was a couple plays where he absolutely cracked Carson Wentz early in this game, and you saw it have an impact on Wentz. We'll talk about him later. Also, Landon Dickerson came back. Quinyon Mitchell was back, and I didn't know how he was going to play with that hamstring injury, and Justin Jefferson was racking up some catches in the first half, but I thought Quinyon ultimately did a good job. Now, at the same time, the Eagles do have an injury concern moving forward. Think about the guys that went down in this game. I mean, Moro Ajomo late. Saquon Barkley got hit. Thankfully, he came back in. Will Shipley was being evaluated for an injury. Adoree Jackson went out in this game. Who else? There was like a million guys going down. Cam Jurgens left in the first quarter, and that had an impact on this team as well. There was just so many players that went down for the Philadelphia Eagles, and well, hopefully they can get healthy because they're definitely going to need it. They're going to need their elite playmakers, and we'll see what happens. I mean, Azeez Ojulari went out in this game, and guess what? There may be another reinforcement on the way tomorrow. We're going to talk about that as well at the end of this video, but the Eagles find a way to muscle through and get a big-time win. And why? Why did they do that? What have we been saying to Kevin Patullo all season long? Use your best weapons. Use your playmakers. Now, I'll be honest, the running game is not working. Whether that is a culmination of the offensive line being completely banged up or the run design, the way you're calling these plays, running it up the gut, 4 out of 5 times, whatever it is. Maybe Saquon took a step back. I don't think so, because when I look at Saquon, he does not look washed by any means to me. He still has these big burst plays, sparingly, and even Tank Bigsby had a big play. I think that the Eagles' run game will come along. But as of right now, the passing game has led this team, and Jalen Hurts was perfect in this game. And you know what? I got mad at A.J. Brown before for speaking out when the Eagles were 4-0, but he was right. A.J. Brown was right. Feed your best weapons. This was a historic performance by A.J. Brown and DeVonta Smith. 304 receiving yards combined. 3 touchdowns. 13 catches. And honestly, it felt like at times in this game, they weren't going to them enough. A.J. Brown had a 37-yard touchdown on the first drive on a 4th down. They only gave him 1 target the rest of the first half. But then what happens in the 4th quarter? 26-yard touchdown pass. They needed it. How about with the game on the line? 3rd down, you drop back, you throw it to A.J. 45 yards right in the breadbasket, and he pretty much ices the game. How about DeVonta Smith? With a couple big 20, 25-yard plays, a 79-yard touchdown. You start opening up the field. You let Jalen drop back. You trust his arm, and these 2 wide receivers are the best duo in the league. They can burn anybody, and they have shown you that time and time again. And you know what? A.J. Brown has been complaining for a while, but he's right. Kevin Patullo, throw them the damn football. It's as easy as that. And what I saw today was A.J. Brown and DeVonta Smith absolutely eviscerate a top 5 passing defense in the NFL. Isn't that funny? The Vikings couldn't stop a nosebleed in the run game, and they were incredible in pass coverage this season. Well, Isaiah Rodgers got cooked. Jalen Redmond got cooked. Every other guy on that team got cooked because A.J. Brown and DeVonta Smith are different. And as of right now, based on how the running game is going, you have to throw the ball more. Jalen Hurts can do it. It's a really bad day to be on the Jalen Hurts can't throw crew because he had a perfect passer rating of 158.3 today. 19 for 23, 326 passing yards, a bunch of big-time explosion plays, 3 passing touchdowns, and like I said, one of them came from DeVonta, 2 came from AJ, and if you just continue to feed these guys, I mean, this offense can be unstoppable. Imagine when the run game does start clicking and the offensive line, Landon Dickerson, Cam Jurgens all get healthy. I mean, this is going to be special, man. You think about all the penalties they had today, the plays that set them back. The Eagles came out of the gate and they went on an 8-minute drive and they scored a touchdown on a 4th down. And then after that, they started to revert back and we're thinking to ourselves, man, this has been the story all season long. I think they had 3 3-and-outs in a row. They had 8 net yards on the next 3 drives. I just don't understand how they get away from what works. And honestly, the lack of a running game is completely killing this team right now. But then Carson Wentz starts to do Carson Wentz things. Before we talk about him, how about Jalen Hurts, who says, quote, "We ain't losing no more." Jalen Hurts runs back to the locker room, says, "We ain't losing." I like that confidence, that mentality. They showed a couple close-ups where Jalen and AJ are just going off, celebrating on the big plays. That's what I want to see. I want to see emotion. I want to see guys fired up. And the Minnesota Vikings did what they could. They just weren't good enough. Simply put, Isaiah Rodgers had a great season. Well, guess what? DeVonta Smith on a 79-yard touchdown hits him with a little double move and completely leaves him in the dust. And man, some of these pinpoint throws from Jalen, I mean, they were on the money today. You could not have placed the ball any better. I thought there was a couple plays where Jalen's pass awareness was a little bit off today. But other than that, he kept making the right play. He was getting the ball out when he needed to. And once the Eagles started to dial up the right plays, Jalen just had to execute. And that's exactly what he did. Now, Carson Wentz on the other side had some good plays. There was a time in the second quarter where I thought, okay, Vikings are starting to come back because the Eagles offense had their one big drive and they started to stall. And Carson Wentz was cracked in this game early by Jalen Carter. You could tell he was hurting. I mean, Carson Wentz is throwing balls behind him at this point. He had about 7 to 8 big misses, and that is the storybook career of Carson Wentz. He's going to make big plays. If you don't pressure him, he'll make the throws. He's got Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison who had a big game out there. But when you bring pressure and you disguise these different looks, which I thought Vic Fangio did as the game went on, you force him into bad situations. Carson Wentz, right here, had a running back wide open in the flat. Would have easily got them down inside the 10. Instead, he ends up getting a intentional grounding penalty, right? He had a couple just mind-boggling plays in this one. Missed Jefferson deep a few times. He's just a journeyman, He'll be okay, but he's not going to be that good. He's not going to win a lot of games because of his decision-making. And even on the interceptions, I mean, he gets hit hard, but Jalen Hunt comes out of nowhere, and the ball went right to him. I mean, it couldn't have been any easier for Jalen Hunt, who runs it back with a pick 6. The Eagles' edge rushers did a lot in this game, and quite frankly, they haven't done much all season. Zadarius Smith ends up retiring, so it was great to see Jalen Hunt come out here and have a big play on the defensive end. So Jalen Hunt with the pick 6. You had Joshua Uche, who got a sack on Carson Wentz, so these guys stepped up. They were absolutely depleted in that group. Even Jeremiah Trotter Jr., who I know is a linebacker, got hurt. They had Jahad Campbell coming up on the edge. They had Nakobe Dean in this game who made a couple big tackles. It took everybody. But the Eagles defense made a statement early. And then after that, on the next drive, I think it was 3 plays later, Carson Wentz scrambles out. And honestly, it looked like the guy was dealing with, I don't know, a concussion or something. I mean, he just throws the ball 50 yards up in the air, and it comes right down in the hands of Andrew Makuba. I don't know what the heck Carson Wentz was thinking. But the Eagles have struggled to win the turnover battle, and today they won it. But overall, I thought they did a really good job at not giving up like the key plays. Like they would let the Vikings roam down the field, but the Vikings were 1 for 6 in the red zone today. They had been one of the best teams in the red zone this year. I think they said they were like 10 for 15. They come in today, they go 1 for 6. Now, part of that was the Eagles defense coming up and making big plays, but part of it was also just the idiotic decision-making of Carson Wentz. Like once they got down in the 20, he would take a big sack or he would just, throw it away or whatever it was. It just a mind-boggling performance in some aspects for Carson Wentz, who also had over 300 yards, but he had, 26 completions and 16 incompletions. So really not that good of a game for Carson Wentz. It's kind of been the MO for him this season. It's crazy that the Eagles are only 3 for 10 on third down because you would think they played better than the Vikings. But honestly, there was, 2 quarters in this game where the Vikings were storming their way back. And then you have a play at the end of the third quarter, beginning of the fourth, where the Eagles are moving the ball easily down the field. They're throwing it all over the place. I'm like, yes, the Eagles are about to extend this lead. And then they come back to start the fourth quarter. And on a 3rd and 5, instead of throwing the ball, they decide to run it up the gut with Saquon, which made no sense. Then Jake Elliott misses a 42-yarder, his first miss of the season. You're thinking, oh my gosh, here we go again. Vikings come down. They end up tacking on 3, but then the Eagles go on a big 3.5-minute drive, 7 plays, 70 yards. And that was where he hit AJ on a 26-yard touchdown pass. Vikings come back with a field goal of their own. And what was really telling to me on that final drive is the Eagles just could have played it safe like they usually do, punted it back with a minute or so, and tried to play defense and not give up the 7. But you know what they did? After almost getting a delay of game on third down, they come out and they dial up the deep ball. They just had an incomplete on second down. The clock's not moving. It's getting scary. But you know what happens? Jalen Hurts drops back and once again finds one of the best wide receivers in the NFL in A.J. Brown, who completely leaves his guy in the dust. First down, game over. Overall, just a monster historic performance for A.J. Brown and DeVonta Smith. And the Eagles were making it hard for themselves, especially on first, second, and longs, right? By pushing themselves back with penalties. They just found ways to make plays, and Jalen Hurts played his best game of the season. He was absolutely phenomenal. And at the end of the day, even though the Eagles' edge rushers are absolutely depleted, they got going today, which was good to see. But according to sources before today's game, it seems like Brandon Graham is going to come back and suit up for the Philadelphia Eagles. We will talk about this more when it officially happens. But if his family gives him the okay, it seems like BG is going to suit up and get back in game shape and ready to go next week. My honest opinion on this is I don't really like it. It feels like putting a Band-Aid on a big wound. I love BG. I would love to see him back on the field. But part of me also feels like, hey, he went out on top the perfect way as a champion. And is BG really going to move the needle right now with this team? Like, is he going to be the saving grace? And overall, I just think it's a little bit unfair, unless he really, really wants to ask BG to come out of retirement to try to make up for some of this team's deficiencies right now. That's just my personal opinion, though. And we'll see what shape he's in, if he's been working out, things like that. But we will see what happens. Give me all your thoughts down below. Appreciate everybody for tapping in. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, I will catch you on the next one.